The recording is. Chairman Bassfinder, it's all yours.
Yes, sir. Good morning. It is May the 20th, 26th, Wednesday. We're in Nashville, Tennessee, in the Tennessee Fire Room K for a monthly meeting of the Inmate Disciplinary Oversight Board. Members present in the room, Mr. Lee Frank, Vice Chair Mike Dunn, Dr. Mary Karpos, Dale Carr, Mr. Mike Sheeran, myself, Jerry Bassfinder. Online, we have Miss Betsy Wiseman, Miss Heather Doyle, and Mr. Quantel Lindsay. Mr. Chairman, we've got forum, and I'd like to ask Brother Mike Dunn to open up our meeting with a prayer.
I'd be honored, Chairman. Thank you. Let's pray, shall we? Heavenly Father, we come to you so much with thankfulness in our hearts today. We thank you for the many blessings of life. We thank you for your love and your grace and your goodness to us. And most of all, the free pardon of sin. So, Lord, thank you so much for all you've done for us. Thank you for your guidance, your protectance. Thank you for your care for everyone on this board and our families. We thank you for the progress of the recent legislative session. Thank you for Speaker Sexton and his leadership. We thank you for Lieutenant Governor McNally, and may you bless his retirement and give him many days of comfort and joy to come. We ask your blessings on our governor as he finishes his term, and may his steps be very plentiful as he crosses the state and does many good things for Tennesseans. We ask your blessings on our board as we continue this delicate effort, delicate work for justice. We ask your blessings on our decisions, on our cases, and may we remember we're dealing with public safety and real lives inside of these prisons. We ask your protection on the corrections officers, on the staff. We ask your protections on the inmates, and they seek your direction for betterment in their lives. We ask your comfort for their families who are patiently waiting, and be with them and give them the right decisions and to make. So, Lord, we ask for your guidance today as we continue on in this effort, and be with us through this coming month. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Dunn, for that. We will get right into the agenda. First order of business is to approve the minutes from our last April meeting. The transcript was previously distributed, and the video is online as always. If there's no discussion about that, I will entertain a motion to adopt meeting minutes.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion about the motion? All in favor of adopting the minutes from the April 2026 meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, let's just take a few minutes here at the beginning to talk a little bit about the last 30 days or so. I'd like to start out with the memorandum of understanding. We are joined by our general counsel, Mr. Grauberger. Mr. Grauberger, have we had any updates from TDOC on the memorandum?
Yeah, so about, I don't know, a week and a half ago, I heard from their counsel that she had forwarded it to the powers that be and was awaiting comment. I have not heard back. I just sent her an email this morning trying to get an update on that, but still waiting.
Okay, appreciate that. I think we'll have that done before the summer, so looking forward to having that in place. Thank you, Council Grauberger, for your work on that. A couple other things. The appeals subcommittee has met several times. Appreciate all their work in getting those appeals out and finalized. As always, appreciate the additional questions that we have on the incidents that you all review, as well as the request for additional district attorney referrals. I think those are always really important. It works well in conjunction with what we're trying to do to make sure that these more serious offenses are being hopefully prosecuted at the district attorney level. So I know those DAs appreciate those additional referrals, and I appreciate all your work in identifying those and getting those sent over. The last thing on the last 30 days is we are trying to put together 2 site visits for next month, I believe, at the Charlesdale facility and the Bledsoe facility. Chairman, were there some dates that you and Mr. Sheeran were looking at to go on those site visits?
We had, I ain't got to talk to Mr. Sheridan's board, we had talked about doing it before, our next meeting the day before, but you've actually got a conflict on that, which you.
I don't think so.
And that we're coming to Nashville.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, so
Yeah,
the
then we're,
Monday or Tuesday before the meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
We've asked for Tuesday.
Okay, so I think right now our next month's meeting is scheduled for the 17th. So that site visit we'll be looking at probably the 16th, maybe the 15th. That's open to everybody. Obviously, I think Chairman Fassbinder and Mr. Sharon are closest to those facilities. But no.
No, they're furthest from us. We're going to
That's what I thought.
Bledsoe and Tri-State.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's further. You know, everybody's invited to those. So, you know, please let me know if you want to do that, and I can make sure that I can get you directions and the group that's going can link up, coordinate.
What date they're gonna go with the visit is it?
I think right now we're looking at June 16th.
Tuesday the 16th. But we can, if folks want to do it a different time, we can.
Yeah.
Just makes sense to travel around the board meeting, but we can do it.
And those are the last 2 in order to have visited all 14 facilities.
Yeah.
But that's small.
Reception center.
Yeah. So anyway, wanted to mention that. Please let me know if you're at all interested in becoming part of that group, and we'll loop everybody in to make that happen. So just wanted to mention that. That's more or less the last 30 days, aside from the dockets and some other things we'll talk about. But any questions on those items?
What are the 2 facilities again?
Bledsoe and Trousdale.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, some updates on outstanding matters. There's 2 things that I wanted to hit on, and I'm gonna get on a soapbox here in a second for just a few minutes. But the first is receipts and tracking. We're still working with Census Management on how to finalize a way for them to alert us anytime the incidents get changed, so that we're aware that those are happening in real time. So that's an ongoing discussion. It's a little bit difficult with TOMIS and some of the limitations that system has. And then as they transition into the new electronic offender management system, we're trying to build in that capability for that new system as well. So working on that. But the other thing I want to talk about quickly was the board's decision to move forward with the objective of applying all TDOC procedures and policies with regard to Class A offenses to all of the counties. That is a heavy lift, and I applaud this board for taking the time to move in that direction. We are talking about 95 separate counties that do things 95 different ways. We're talking about 440 miles of state. And it's over, just because it's 95 counties, there's actually more jails than that, more local jails than that. So we're talking close to 100 different jails. Next month, we have a meeting with leadership from across the state, representatives from different counties and different sheriffs. We're working with the Tennessee Corrections Institute. We're going to be doing a 3-day workshop to try and hear what we need to do, how we need to do it, what we're looking for, what they've done before, what doesn't work and why, and overcoming those challenges. This is a big, big deal. And I just want to say to everybody on the board, I think it's a really, really incredible thing. I mean, providing this consistency across the entire state is something that's never been done. I think it's going to make a huge difference in terms of inmate discipline. We're seeing the difference that it makes at the state institution level. To bring that to the county level is a really, really big deal. So I'm excited to be doing that. And I really want to thank this group for taking up that challenge.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jerry. I know he met with the Pine County Sheriff, didn't you, Jerry? Worked out real well. What are we talking about as far as state inmates? Is it 10,000? How many do we know how many are?
Backup right now is 4,813.
So, okay, so about 5,000 of the state inmates.
Not the locally sentenced, but the backup.
Okay, okay.
A waiting period.
So yeah, it's a substantial amount. So yeah, it's something that's been need to be done. I think so. When I went and sat in with our Andrews County Sheriff's, they have a D-board thing, and it was just different.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little more. It's a county.
No, this is
County jail, so it just didn't seem quite as they have, like the
Structure.
prisons have a D board, chairman, and then you've got hearing witnesses. It was just a little different, I thought.
Yeah.
So
Well-
yeah, I mean, it would be, I think it's an exceptional idea.
It's a great one.
To me, and the last thing I'll say, it seems only fitting that if you're a state inmate, the ones that are actually in the prison system, in the 14 facilities, need to be treated the same. If you're a state inmate and have been, adjudicated that way, found guilty of that, then you need to be on the same level as these folks. I mean, it seems that you can't have two different systems there. I don't think so.
No, I
In
mean,
my
it makes
opinion, I
sense.
don't think it works. So.
It makes sense.
When are we supposed to meet with all these people, or when is it?
So, at the end of June, so June 23rd, 24th, and 25th is when they've scheduled some time for us to meet in Jackson to start discussing how they do it, the challenges, why this is never done before, what challenges they have, that sort of stuff. And so, we're going to take that opportunity to move the ball forward as significantly as we can. And then hopefully by the end of the summer, we've got a platform in place that allows that can be sent out and the different counties can be trained on so that they can start implementing consistent policies. So that first session is going to happen June 23rd, 24th, 25th in Jackson.
Dale, they're bringing in the Shelby County Sheriff's Department as the test facility because they have so many state prisoners that they're taking on.
I've lost count of what's the county, I think, Casper, am I saying too much? If I say 71?
No, 71 state inmates. No, that's that.
I think ours is 71 last time I seen, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a heavy lift. It's a very big deal. So I'm very excited to take up that challenge. I think it's a monumental shift from the way things have been done before. So that's it. Those are the most important outstanding matters. Wanted to go through quickly. If there's no questions on those, we will move on to our next agenda. Okay. All right. Our next agenda item is found in tab 2 on your notebooks. Those are the matters that have been reviewed and either approved, including the number of days that have been moved by the board. So in February, for February incidents, the board removed an additional 16,800 days. And that brings our total number to 5,219 separate incidents reviewed, 1,596 approved, and 79,170 days removed from inmates for January, February. Obviously, today we're talking about March incidents, so the March caption will be updated after today's meeting. But we distributed for review in March 1,285 individual cases and approved 450. And I do want to highlight, we can see that the numbers seem to be coming down for Class A offenses. In January, there were 1,310, February 1,389, and then 1,000 less in March that got distributed. So seeing some real progress on behavioral changes from those numbers. So again, appreciate all the work. I think everybody's doing just a phenomenal job accomplishing the mission that we've been asked to do. So really, really good work.
I will say something just on pulling cases. I was pulling this morning. It's fascinating. Hardeman, something happened. I'm probably going to call Hardeman. In 15 days, I pulled 300 cases from Hardeman. I think they locked everyone down. I mean, 300 from Hardeman, Class A's, knives,
Drugs.
Yeah.
knives, cell phones, and drugs. And And I told Jerry, I was looking at it and there was a death on the 2nd. And after that death for 2 weeks, it was phones, knives, drugs, phones, knives, drugs. And there were no assaults, not one assault in that whole 2 week period, which you would think there'd be an AOO or an ASO, something going on. But they were coming down, but something happened in Hardeman. I mean, because normally, you're for half the month in Hardeman or Morgan, you're going to get maybe 50 or 60 that I'll pull, and you're talking 300. So anyway, but the other ones are in that line of coming down. But anyway, I just thought that was fascinating. I don't know if anybody really needed to know that, but
No, it's good context.
So maybe one of the things to think about if we are strictly looking at how many incidents there are, what types of incidents. So you can actually have two trends going on at the same time. The overall frequency of incidents can come down, but the most severe incidents remain at a stable or consistent level or may in fact increase. So perhaps going forward, being able to think about how to divide those types of incidents up. If we're going to be thinking about how this is reflected on the board and the board's impact, then that would be the most clear way for us to have a performance metrics.
Do you
in that
mean
regard.
by category of offense or by facility?
You can do both. To say, maybe you had a facility such as one Mr. Frank talked about, where there was this spike, and then being able to watch that to see whether or not, there's no one to say that actions of the board would necessarily impact all 14 identically.
Sure.
So we might miss out on capturing some of the successes of the board if we don't look at them individually. But you can look at them both ways.
Sure.
To get the picture.
Great. Oh, I do wanted to mention, had the opportunity to talk with the director of the Office of Investigations and Conduct over at TDOC last week. Was hoping he'd join us for today's meeting. Couldn't make that happen, but we may be able to get a guest speaker or two next time for when we meet. So looking forward to getting that information out to everybody. I think that'll be helpful as well next time we get together. So just wanted to mention that and appreciate the time he gave me on Friday. Okay. All right. Well, we can, I think, move to the protein of the meeting, which is our docket presentation. A small change. One of our board members, Ms. Doyle, may have to leave a little bit early, so we are going to move her docket forward, and she's going to be the first presenter today. So I think you'll find her tab under Doyle closer to the back. But Ms. Doyle, is that okay with you if we have you go first?
That'd be great. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for having to move things, but I appreciate y'all doing it.
Not at all. Okay, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I'm bringing forward, I guess I should get on that page. Taking away 160 credits and giving back 13. The 13 that I'm giving back, the reason I'm doing that is they were just numbers way out of they kind of just pulled them out from nowhere. And the 30-day one that at NECX, was a little confused on that one, but anyway, I did take some more on that one. I had 192 cases, 26 Bs, 46 were dismissed. Thought that was kind of high this time. 9 pending. I had 4 deaths, 2 taken down to Cs, and 2 guilty verbal warnings, which I've got to send to Mike about that. But that's my docket.
Okay, great. You kind of went over this, but any additional trends or comments you'd like to make about, your March incidents?
No.
Okay, great. Well, we can have discussion about what Ms. Doyle presented, or we can entertain a motion to adopt her docket.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion about the incidents? Okay, all in favor of approving the docket as presented by Ms. Doyle, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Looks great. Thank you, Ms. Doyle.
Thank you.
Okay, let's, go back to our original, agenda and move to our chairman, Mr. Fassbinder.
Thank you, sir. For my March cases, I had 191 individuals that I looked at. Out of that, the Department of Corrections took 1,424 months of good time. I am requesting an additional 234 months, and I'm giving back 6 months, which was 1,651 total months taken. And if you've looked at my docket, I'll be glad to explain any of the cases if there's a question on it.
Okay. Any comments or trends that are noteworthy from you for March incidents?
The D boards are doing much better as far as the new matrix. There's still room for improvement. But as you can see, just from when it changed in January to now, the numbers are coming down as far as what we're having to take because, training that the D boards getting is much better. South Central was one of the slower prisons, for the last month or so, but, they had appointed a new D board sergeant there, and they've gone through the training, so, I've already noticed in this month, South Central's kicking them out pretty quick.
New warden as well in South Central.
New warden to South Central.
Okay, great. Well, we can discuss any individual incident if there is one to discuss, or we can entertain a motion to approve the docket.
Motion approved.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded. Any discussion on, Chairman Fassbinder's, March incidents? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor of approving Chairman Fassbinder's, March docket, please, or May docket for March incidents, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, sir. Okay, great. Well, let's move on to our next presenter, Frank.
Yes, I've got, took a total of 233 additional months in, March. Gave back 6. You had a couple of spiked situations like the PGAs down at West 10. Which was, I think more to do with, where they're still PGAs, they're zeroing out and, that's not in their policy, so we have to, they have to lose the time. Besides that, I think, everything's moving. I think they're doing a pretty darn good job as of right now. They're still, kind of learning the ropes since they've gone up to 18 months, is the high end. But it feels like they're getting the groove of it, quite frankly. That's all I've got.
It looks to me like Northeast had a lot of zeros as well. Is that?
Yeah, that was the INT situation where they, yeah, that was just kind of one of those anomalies where time wasn't taken. We had to do it because it was a night.
So that is that a trend you see a lot of?
No. I don't know what exactly happened there. That's
New D board sergeants.
Yeah.
Assume
That's certainly something
weird stuff like that.
Right. Sometimes you'll get something like that. You're like, you know that it's not a beat. It's you gotta take time. So that's how we, that's our job to do it. And so we have to follow that. So that's all I've got. I moved to approve it.
Second.
Well, I can move, but
I make
Okay, motion made, seconded. Any discussion on, Mr. Frank's presentation of his incidents? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving Mr. Frank's, March incidents for the May docket, please say aye. All opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Yes, Chairman Bassman.
Mr. Director, I need to make a verbal, change. When I was looking at my actual review, I was in the wrong month.
I thought it might have been.
Yeah, it did, the numbers didn't quite add up.
Said
What's in the page is right, but actually I had 193 cases for March. And what, the draw of the cards are kind of different. It was a month that, they did really good. I ended up taking 86 months. I didn't return any. So the Department of Corrections took 1,326 months. After, after my review, it goes to 1,400. But what's in our booklet for the docket, I was looking at the right docket. My mistake, there were 2 pending, and actually the 2 pending are in Shelby County Sheriff's Department in safekeeping. So just waiting to get them back into the prisons.
So
For the mistake.
do we need to do action forms for the February ones I see at the bottom of your docket?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there were 2, from Bledsoe that, had came off that were pending. One at Bledsoe, one at Trisdale, and I added those. They actually was an increase of 3 months, an increase of 15 months at those 2 prisons.
Okay, so that's we need to add those additional removal months from the February numbers, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So 86 is for the March incidents and then 18 is for the February. Correct. Ben, can you make sure we do that? Thank you. Okay, thank you for presenting that, Chairman. Okay, thank you, Mr. Frank. Appreciate that. If nothing more for you, we'll move on to our next presenter, Ms. Wiseman.
Good morning, everybody. My docket this month is pretty straightforward. I only had 12 that I wanted to change. I'm not giving any time back. And I took away an additional 192 months. And they originally took, no, I'm reading this wrong. They originally took 48. And I took an additional 154 for a total of 230, if I did that right. And the trends I noticed are basically the trends everybody else noticed, that they're just doing much, much better, except for a certain few. But even the ones I usually think don't do a great job are doing better. So that's my docket.
Okay, great. Yeah, I do think, we can see that trend line improving. And again, it goes back to the work you all are doing on a monthly basis. It's incredible. And I think we're seeing a real impact on this stuff. So thank you, Ms. Wiseman, for that. Okay, if there's no questions about the docket, I'll entertain a motion. Motion made. Seconded. Any questions, discussion about Ms. Wiseman's March incidents? Okay, seeing none, move to a vote. All in favor of approving Ms. Wiseman's May public meeting docket in total, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Wiseman. Okay, next up, our esteemed Mr. Cotton.
Thank you. I had to go with give me just 1 second, please.
Yeah.
Okay. For March, I took off, an additional, 345 months of credit. D-Board had 453. And I took off additional, 345. I gave back, on the credits, D-Board had 54, a little over total. I put back, and Matrix says 36, so I give back 18. But what I was wanting to speak with, just so you bring it up, Northeast, I was trying to get on there. Well, I had two AOWs that, the D-Board had give 24 each on one, and of course, I was thinking, we were talking about maybe doing more or anything on like that, but, and I would, me, I'd like to give more when they hurt a person like that, but right now, we're not in that phase, so those two there, we can go with the 24 for right now, because that stays within the matrix and everything, and we'll discuss, as we have discussed, maybe with legislation, we'll go and we'll change some of this and go even higher maybe before long, because I would really like to give them a little bit more, but that's just my opinion. But I'd already submitted this before we had that discussion, so we'll go with that, and everything. Mine should be within the matrix and everything.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll definitely be mindful of those, and we'll keep track of those. One thing we didn't talk about in the updates earlier in the meeting was the progress we're making on the legislative front. Obviously, the redistricting special session took a lot of attention from legislators. And with the school year ending, I think we're going to wait until maybe next month or a little bit into the summer, and then we're going to be engaging with a lot of legislators on crafting language that clarifies some of the boundaries that.
And everybody here may not agree, but I think we're going to also, with the legislation, look and see like if this guy is take all his time away and not give him any back, and if they fit that criteria, take it all away, then he's not going to get any more.
Yeah, well, I think we discussed several ideas for legislative changes, including along those lines, but also preventing certain prosecuted offenses from even being eligible for some of these sentencing credits. And then putting some clarifying languages on our own statute to help, create some guidelines for expectations for our board. So yeah, there's a lot I think we're going to engage with the legislature with this coming year. So we will definitely keep those two in our pocket so that we can revisit it. But that's great. Any trends or comments you'd like to make about March incidents?
Yeah, and I'll just say this, and Core Civic, worse, fight with Marvin, so that's the trends I see. And I'm working on next month, and I'm seeing something I don't understand, but is 3 people and 2 of them get certain sentence and the next one don't get any sentence, and there's no explanation, so I'm following that up too, because if you're all involved in the same thing and you 2 guys get taking something away, I'm gonna take it away from the 3rd guy,
Sure.
Till I know something different. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this one.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, appreciate those comments. That's very helpful. Okay, any questions for Mr. Carr for his March incident document?
Motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. We'll move to a vote. All in favor of approving Mr. Carr's March incidents for his May docket, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Mr. Carr, do I see some carryover
Yes,
February
I
incidents
forgot
as
that.
well?
Yeah, got that. Hang on. Carry over from March, we could vote on those, don't you? That's,
Looks like you're asking to take an additional 339 months. On your March
that,
incidents.
see.
The February cases.
February cases.
Yeah, where
Keep,
they,
keep going, next page,
The next page.
Right here.
that page.
all right. Well, within keeping the, like I say, we're trying to keep within the matrix there. I can adjust any of those there that's over that, down to if we can keep those at the maximum, we can give our 24, I can keep that and do that if people will, go with that right now.
Okay, so, the 36s are becoming 24s?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
30 will be a 24.
Tammy, do you see what we're talking about?
Yes, I
Can you track those things? Okay.
That would be my recommendation. I will do that for the sake of doing this sort of thing like that. Okay.
Okay.
Can we
Motion.
discussion?
Yeah, we're on the motion.
So, there's one in particular that I would be uncomfortable with in terms of moving that to 24 because, and I'm speaking about incident 1709453. This is assault on staff with weapon. And the video showed that 3 staff members were stabbed by this offender using 2 homemade weapons. And the fact that 3 staff members were stabbed, to me, that would mean that each of those stabbed staff members, this person is losing 8 months of sentence credits. And that to me is minimizing how serious this attack was on these 3 staff members.
So it was only written up as one incident. Two victims instead of three.
Correct.
What's the incident number in the facility?
1709453
I think it's the first one.
at Hardeman.
It says the original disciplinary decision for that incident was 0. So the D board took away 0 months. Is that right?
Says officer needs assistant call came in to so-and-so pod. Milestone video shows staff responding to secure offender who was threatening an employee. Several verbal directions were given. He was armed with 2 homemade weapons, a 7-inch and a 6-inch, weapons measuring 7 inches and 6 inches. They deployed a canister of MK9 to gain compliance.
So for that one, we're talking about either going from 0 to 24 or 0 to 36, is that?
I had put 36.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but-
either 0 to 24 or 0 to 36.
But 36 is not an option.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say, when they wrote it up as minor injury. It's a 2 listed on there, which 24 is maximum for a serious injury. But it was 24 if it's 240. It's not gonna let this person get out of jail or prison any quicker. He's serving 100% 20-year sentence. So he's gonna fatten out his sentence. The amount of time, whether it's 24, 36, or 240, is not gonna keep him in prison any longer than he's already gonna be there.
Interesting point. Anyone else? Any other comments on that particular incident? Anyone online? I certainly don't want to not give anyone online an opportunity to weigh in.
I just wish for record's sake, in the future, they could have prosecuted this as 3 different incidents, one against each victim.
Good point. Maybe we reach out to them, ask them why they didn't.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's some questions because to Dr. Krupper's point, I mean, it says struck. I don't see stabbed or, and then he talks about the level of injury. So I think that they can certainly do a better job writing this up, paint a better picture.
There's 3 different
And
instances,
it
yeah.
should be right. It should be 3 separate assaults. And sure, hopefully, if he did stab these folks, these correction officers, he's
That didn't take any
prosecuted.
time away at all. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's to me, that's very curious.
sure.
Very curious. Okay, any other comments in the room or online for that one? Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Bud Halsey. I'm sorry to stick my nose in there. I just was
No,
going to ask a question.
Please.
Is there a dispute over, you have 3 victims, but they wrote it up as one offense? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if 24 was the largest number, you could do 24 3 times, but you don't because it's one offense.
Yes, sir, that's right. So, we're only able to review the incidents that get written up sort of as they're written up. So we aren't able to separate them out. So by the guidelines that we have in our policy, we're able to go up to 24 on individual incidents. So, if they had written it up as 3 separate incidents, they would have been reviewed 3 separate times and eligible for 3 separate recommendations for sanctions. But because it was written up as one, we're sort of limited by that write-up.
Okay. Is that common practice? Let's say one of the guards died from the stab wound, and the other 2 was aggravated assault. Would they still write that up as one incident?
So there are some guidelines when it comes to the write-ups. Chairman, you're well versed in how, when an incident occurs, how is it decided whether or not it constitutes one incident or separate incident?
On the charges, if it was a homicide, that would have to be separate charge for the homicide. Then the assault on staff would have to be separate charges. If there were 2 staff members assaulted, it could be one write-up, 2 victims, it would have to be separate write-ups because the offense comes.
Okay, so I think to answer your question, Representative Halsey, it's partly the discretion of the officer who's writing up the incident. But if there's multiple offenses, then the expectation is that there will be separate write-ups or incidents for the separate offenses. If it's one offense involving multiple victims, then is that correct that there's the officer's discretion to write it up as either 3 separate offenses, or does it have to be written up as one offense with 3 victims?
Right. It's gone both ways.
So it's officer discretion. Yeah. And I would just add, there have been discussions in the past about, our level of involvement when it comes to having more control over the disciplinary board sergeants. And the way that it's structured right now is, unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of control over directives when it comes to procedures for those write-ups. And we're sort of confined to the decisions that get made in the institutions, and then we act as a reviewing board, which sort of limits ability to explain to those officers or disciplinary board sergeants that the better practice would be, if there are multiple victims, to write them up separately. So because it's officer discretion and it goes according to TDOC policy currently, we're left with however the incident is written up. And in this case, it appears to have been written up as one incident with multiple victims. But Mr. Carr, did you want to?
No, that's what I'm saying. It would have been a whole lot better if it had been written up as 3 different instances. Really would have.
Yeah.
And so just to clarify something with regard to policy, and anyone can look at the policies, they're online. The officer has to seek the approval of the watch commander, and the reviewing of incident and how it's written is not at the discretion of the officer. It's actually the watch commander who makes that decision. But you can check the policy online, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Did that help with your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
I'll just throw in one last thing. I have not seen, Jerry said he's seen it written, done it both ways. Let's say if a guy, I've seen an assault where he beats up, he assaults 2 people. I take it that it's an incident that's happened. I mean, if he beat up a guy or assaulted a guy in the morning and then took a shot at a guy 3 hours later, that's 2 incidents. But I take it as the event is happening, and whether he hits 6 people, 1 person, I take it that that's an assault. It's an incident that's happened at that time. Has anybody seen it where it's, I mean, do you see what I'm saying?
One event, but multiple victims, so.
Like let's say a guy's like taking everyone on and he assaults 4 different people. I've always seen that as they're gonna get him for the one assault and there's 4 victims or 5 victims. I've never seen it the other way. It might have happened and I just had never had one of those cases. I don't know if anyone else has had one.
Well, and to the earlier statement that we are limited to the 24 months, if we determine some adoption policy later in this meeting that we are limited to that, then in thinking about that application, well, we'll get to that discussion later. How does that apply and where's the standardization in that?
Okay, remind me again, I can't remember who made the first motion. Mr. Sherrod was, well, he was presenting the docket, so I think, Mr. Sherrod, you made the motion. So, we are discussing one incident. The motion, I believe that you made was to adopt the docket, having all the incidents at 24 months. We can keep that motion. We can amend that motion for that one incident to move to 36 months, or we can amend the motion to take out that incident and do more review of it and then bring it back at a later date. Would you like to amend your motion at all? No. Okay, so the motion that's been seconded is for all the incidents in Mr. Carr's February cases to be moved to 24 months. Any further discussion on that?
And again, the addition of further time wouldn't benefit the particular situation because he's already next. At his time.
That's true.
So this is a dead argument.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
1 nay. Okay, motion passes. Mr. Carter,
I had a
step
fit in the
out.
family, I've got to make.
Not a problem, not a problem. Actually, could I ask you for a favor? I didn't close that. Mr. Carr, can I ask you for a favor? Could you close that door on your way? I forgot to close that door when the meeting started. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Don't be mad. That's okay.
Okay, well, that finishes those dockets. Appreciate that. Next we have Mr. Sheriff. Mr. Sheriff.
Thank you, Director Stahl. I'll try to be brief. For March, I reviewed 143 cases involving a total of 211 inmates. As of a day or so ago, 5 of the cases that were assigned to me are still pending. I have a total of 35 cases pending, going back as far as November of 2024. Of the cases I reviewed, 27 of those cases were designated as Class B offenses, which is pretty high. I'm usually around 10 to 15, so 27 just in my review was kind of a high number for Bs. I also had one DRS that was classified as C. I sent in 17 requests to TDOC for clarification or for more information. Of the cases that I reviewed for the month, TDOC had already taken away 1,364 months of sentence credits for a little over 113 years. After careful review, I found 16 errors, and I'm recommending an additional 135 months of sentence credit reduction, which is a little over 11 years. Prolific offenders, Mr. Stahl, Northwest Correctional Facility, Homeless ID number 615015. That inmate had 20 prior Class A offenses in the last 18 months. One that had 20, Whiteville Correctional Facility, Homeless ID number 320700. He also had 20 Class A offenses in the last 18 months. As far as trends, yeah, I agree that they're doing some things better, but TDOC still has a long way to go. South Central, they're doing a little bit better, but I think South Central, and West Tennessee have the most opportunities for improvement. A lot of cases dismissed with no reason being given, or some class Bs or just cases that are pending. So those are the two that have the most opportunities for improvement. I don't know if everybody else is seeing this, but I seem to be seeing fewer of the PGAs, the participation in security threat group activities. I wonder if that's not from somebody at TDOC, because we saw for months where they would charge them with that. And with assault or with weapons, a gang fight, if you will. And someone in the commissioner's office was changing those sentence credits so that they were appearing as zeros. We were changing those back and taking away sentence credits. It seems to me like maybe there's something going on where they're not charging as many of those. So I just would keep an eye on that. Something that just kind of makes me question what's really going on there. Without further ado, that's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And as always, I appreciate the prolific offender identification, sending those over to the board of parole for their considerations. Very, very helpful. So thank you for that. Okay, any questions on any of the incidents that got discussed by Mrs. Shear? Yes.
And this is going back to my cases, and I wanted to need to clear that up a little bit more. I didn't want to spend too much time. The INT that all the time was taken, the prisons were taking the time. Some of the inmates were going to B's, and I'm sure that it was an internal investigation, so I'm sure they looked at it, and this guy really was involved. It had to do with where they're trying to block a fight, and so they hit him with an INT. So the prisons are taking, if you look at that, like 18, that's a lot of the time that I took was right there. The prisons took the time, and in Nashville, the D board did, and in Nashville they zeroed it out. We need to. That's an issue with me where the after an investigation they made the determination. All right, this guy, like if you look through the whole list, it's even more. He gets dropped to B, so he's out of all of this, and they take time, and in Nashville it gets zeroed out. And I'm like, how can they even know what went on in Nashville? Well, they just determined that, and you're talking 18 months that the D board had determined to take, or 15 or 14. One time they took 14 on one. That's almost a conversation I think we need to have with TDOC. Like,
we see this. Why are you doing it?
Your D boards are doing this. You're getting rid of it, and it's our job to put it back in. Why are you getting rid of it in the first place?
Yeah, because they describe all the discipline on that first screen.
Right, right.
Then when you go into it.
Anyway, I don't know if anybody else sees those, and you're like,
yes.
And so it just seems like a conversation.
I haven't seen them on anything other than PGAs. But obviously, yours, the INT was done that way too.
Well,
I just saw that.
So I just don't want to, I didn't want it to be left out that the prison D board didn't do their job. They did. It's something happening.
Well, I agree with Sharon here. I mean, a lot of it's PGAs. What are they trying to protect those games? I mean,
No,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
well, the thing is, if they don't want to do that, then it needs to be somewhere in the policy that we're getting rid of PGA. And I mean, that's kind of what we heard from Ms. Thomas, didn't we? We think that PGA doesn't really, but it's still there. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just was sitting there thinking about that when you said the PGA you were dealing with.
That's a great
So
point.
did you just say that Assistant Commissioner Thomas, they're gonna eliminate the PGA as an offense?
No, they're not, but I mean, I guess folks see, I mean, does everyone else see PGAs that get zeroed out?
Yes.
Like you go to the screen, it's LPP and it's blank, or there used to be something there.
Correct.
When it makes it to the commissioner's designee, it changes there, so.
They change. So why are they changing?
That's what we like. Yeah, that's the question.
That's just an observation. It seems like the conversation maybe we have that we're going, they do one thing, and then we come back and do the other thing. So
and I don't mean to belabor the point, that comes back to the watch commander. And that's how we make a procedure there. Do you ride that one incident or solve three?
Anyway, that's neither here. I just want to throw that out there.
Good, that's a great point, thank you. Okay, anything else, Commissioner?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, well, we can move to a
Make the motion to
motion.
approve. I want to compliment, the sheriff during his description. He physically explained what the abbreviation PGA meant. I think it's important for our public to know, when we say PGA, what's that mean? IT, what's that mean? So thank you for explaining that.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Okay, motion made, do I have a second? Seconded. Okay, any discussion about, the March incidents that Mr. Sharon presented? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of approving Ms. Sharon's March incidents or his May docket, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, next we have Mr. Lindsay.
How you doing? Thank you, Director. Good morning, Board.
Morning.
I'll go fast. I got two dockets. The first one, the D Board took 157 credits. I took additional 118 and returned 15 credits back. That was for, I believe, April. That's the April docket. And then we have the March docket, but I want to see if anybody want to discuss this one first before I move on.
Okay, so for Mr. Lindsay's February incidents, any questions on those? That's the first page in his tab. Okay, hearing none, would entertain a motion to approve those incidents.
Motion.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving Mr. Lindsay's February incidents, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lindsay, and I believe you have a March incident docket as well?
Yes, and for the public's sake and the board and clarity, once backwards. Thank you for that correction, Executive Director. And for my next docket, the board took 146 months. I took additional 122 and returned 6 back.
Okay. Any comments or trends that you noticed from those incidents or that month that you'd like to share, Mr. Lindsay?
No, I think I'll just echo what every member of the board said. I think there's great discussions, great things to talk about with TDOC. There's been great improvements. I do understand the clarity that needs to be provided with 3 incidents, 3 assaults, will understanding that, the penitentiary, if that was out on the streets, that would have been 3 different charges, but it's written up as one. I think it'd be more effective if they just rolled it up differently, but that's something we could speak with TDOC. But great points, everybody on the board.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay.
Motion to adopt.
Motion made. Do I have a second? Seconded. Okay, any discussion for Mr. Lindsay on his March incidents? Okay, hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor of approving Mr. Lindsay's March incidents for his May docket, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Mr. Lindsay, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, next presenter is Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the board's prayers for my wife. I want to start off by saying that. So thank you for everyone that has been praying for her. She is getting better. So thank you. And
Happy anniversary too.
thank you, sir. 28 years today. So you can tell we're not real country singers. So anyway, as far as our work is concerned, reviewed 120 plus cases, and of those, more than a third of those cases needed adjusting. And the trend I've noticed is a lot of times an inmate, an offender will have a serious history of the same offense occurred in the past, especially within 18 months. And the D-Board officer or D-Board sergeant is giving them a lenient sentence or sanction in the matrix instead of what I would say an appropriate sanction. So I don't know why that's still going on when they'd been a repeat offender as an offender inside the prison. But with all that said, I took away or asking the board to approve my takeaway of an additional 288 credit months, making a total of 834 credit months out of these additional 55 incidents. I appreciate the board's favor.
Any other comments, you're noticing?
I did have some that I noticed were, in my opinion, serious offenses that were classified as Bs, even assaults on officers.
Right.
And I don't understand that. And one, hate to suppose any dark behavior on the inside, but when I was investigating in internal affairs, I did see incidents where the board sergeants did take bribes, did admit to taking bribes from gang affiliated offenders for leniency in their write-ups and getting dismissals and altering cases down to Bs or just erasing the good credits on the sanctions altogether. So that is a possibility. I pray it's not still going on, but it makes me question things. And we would like to know some answers from TDOC why some of these things are happening. And my question to the board after this motion, I guess, would be where do we stand on incidents that should be A's that are knocked down to B's? And I know our statute limits us to A offenses. So it's kind of hands off for us unless we come to determination with TDOC or get help from the legislature with our examining authority.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I can't remember the exact language. I know we've gone through several drafts of how we want to request that the legislature change our statute, but I think we may have tried to build in there, but maybe not, the ability for us to review Bs and reclassify them as As if necessary. But I don't know. I can't remember if we put that in our draft or not. But it's interesting. It's an
But an
interesting
incident
one.
where someone's assaulting an officer, that should be an A.
Definitely worth exploring, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Creature.
Like I said,
Yeah.
they're increasing. At least my review, 27 was a lot of Bs.
Yes.
But you're right. I mean, right now in the statute, we're fairly probably limited to As.
But the majority of them are probably INTs, aren't they?
But there's some that are, drugs.
Right,
or
I've seen
assaults.
drugs, I had a drug, and
But yes.
If it was- I just don't sense, this is, not, they're, they're union rep for the D boards, but I don't sense they're abusing it, I really don't.
You stepped down when I was explaining this, but I've prosecuted incidents where they did.
Right,
So I know what happens. I pray it's not,
right,
but it's just, it's human nature. And a lot of times we don't know what that person's going through.
that's true.
And I know several incidents in the past where gang affiliated family members are applying for these positions to be on the inside to show favor. That happens. I've seen it happen. They try to vet and they try to weed that out, but it still happens.
And I think the bigger point is right now, there isn't, if we needed or wanted to do anything, there isn't anything we can do right now besides employ TDOC's favorite or do it. But do we want to explore the option of the ability to change it if
It
necessary?
would be nice if we're asked to do a job, we have the proper tools to see that it gets done.
Just to reiterate that fact, I just went down to my 16th case, or 16th incident in April that I'm working on. It was a DRS drug,
Yeah, I've seen, I had
reduced to
well,
B.
and I mean, that's a conversation on, I've seen assaults and I'm thinking the assaults I've seen that were dropped to Bs where it was punched once, it might could have been charged with a fighting instead of an assault. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I mean, those guys,
And
I think the majority of those folks, as we see them taking office, they're taking so much more time than they were, let's say, 2 years ago.
sure.
I want to trust them until I don't. I mean, I think they, meet with the Northeast D board guys and ladies, they seem like they really cared about their job. I mean, that's just me. Sure. So, I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they know, that they felt like that the B was appropriate.
Sure.
I understand like an assault ASO,
Yes, sir.
that's something to look at.
We trust but verify, but, again, we invite, publicly, any D board officer that has an exception to any of their decisions to communicate with us and let us know why.
Right.
So we can honor their decision. To my knowledge, we've not received any communication from anybody after that invitation went out several months ago.
I don't know if you remember this. It's the last thing I'll say about it. There was an ASO, it's been a year ago maybe, and where the guy brushed Pat, and he just kind of, did you remember me, you and I?
Yes, sir.
That's, I could see a B. He just kind of like, he was mad and he kind of brushed past and kind of bumped into the officer. Do you remember reading
I
this
do.
case?
I
And
do.
you were like, that was, maybe shouldn't have been written. Do you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And it all depends on the context of the situation.
Right.
And, was it a gang member trying to show off
Right.
and approach, an officer to show his stripes or feathers in the gang type thing? We don't know, but the people on the ground do. So, but anyway, that, for the sake of the board's time, I invite a motion to approve the cases.
Okay, motion made and seconded.
I would like to say, I'm uncomfortable with any assault on staff. Even if they don't lay hands on them, they're throwing liquids on them.
Right.
I'm uncomfortable when any assault on staff is reduced to a B,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because I feel that if we don't want to demoralize staffs, first of all, somebody wrote it as an A.
Yes.
A watch commander approved it as an A. I don't know why the D board decided to make it a B, but I'm uncomfortable if it involves even a slight touch or the pouring of liquids. And we have seen
Yes.
over the last 2 years, some of these reduced to Bs. And
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
this is why we've been asking, can we move it back to an A? And what would be the process through which we could do that? Or
Yes.
can we ask the D board to look at it again,
Yes.
revisit?
And there's no excuse for any officer to be touched or something anyway. Anyway, I seek a motion.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Any other discussion on the individual incidents for, Mr. Dunn's, March incidents for Ms. Madoff?
I would like to say on Mr. Dunn's, while I reviewed his first case was a newbie at Bledsoe, with no priors, just got sentenced to 8 years at 85%. That inmate, with his actions, flattened out his sentence on that first incident, so he was going to serve 100% of his sentence instead of 85%.
I mean, hopefully it serves as an example to others. You know, even one shot under these new guidelines is impactful, it's very impactful.
And also, I was looking at the ones at South Central, that he had, we see several indecent exposures at South Central. One of those persons had multiple indecent exposures, never has been prosecuted by the district attorney, though they've been referred. Did have 2 prosecutions for sexual battery, which is lesser of the indecent exposure, received a year to run concurrent with the sentence on both of them. So the district attorney there basically slapped the correctional officers in the face and didn't care about what was going on.
Another example of some legislation that we
Yeah.
talked about proffering, to prevent those types of incidents.
Consecutive versus concurrent.
Yeah, to me, that is the most crucial fact is that we are dealing with D boards and taking good time. We are not re-prosecuting criminals. This is how I see my job. The real issue is, I don't know if we can figure out DAs, that would be the best legislation the legislature could pass, was people that looked at these cases That's where you keep violent criminals off the street most, is you re-prosecute them while they're in prison and they extend their sentence. That's, to me, that's really the key to, we've done, TDOC is taking so much time compared to where they were. I mean, it's not even 9 days. It's even more than that. It's humongous amounts of time. It's DAs that could extend sentences, like on a indecent exposure is probably a year.
Yeah, 3 years is the normal indecent exposure. If you look at Northwest Correctional, the district attorney for that district adds 3 years consecutive.
All we can do is flatten them out. We can't extend their sentence. It's done through the DAs. We've kind of gotten it this far and we're pushing TDOC this way. It's kind of in the DA's court at this point, if we want to keep going farther.
We met with them last year virtually, and we're gonna have the opportunity again to go about the trends and the things we see.
Yes.
I'm not sure that how much they listened to us.
Well, that's part of the problem. We're a little bit confined as to our ability to.
But I think that coupled with talking to our friends in the legislature, might be able to have an impact, really making an impact.
He's speaking second to be not there.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that's certainly one legislative proposal that we'll be making this summer, so for sure. But to your point, Mr. Frank, the Chairman Bassmeyer's point about that inmate who flattened out, the original disciplinary decision was only 3 months. So it's because Mr. Dunn changed that to make it 24 that the flatten out occurred. Otherwise, it wouldn't have occurred. So while TDOC is doing a much better job of taking more time, you can see what you all are doing just immediately in making a significant impact on that. Even from, 2023, how many months were taken total from Class A's?
2022 to 33 months.
33 months total. And for this year, we're up to 80,000 or something. Just for the first, 2 or 3 months of this year. It's seismic. It's great. But that highlights the work you all are doing. So
Which is
very
219 years.
219 years in the first 2 months. It's incredible. It's an incredible shift. But, that shows the impact that you all can have on a single inmate, on a single incident. It's pretty impressive. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that. I think we've got the motion. We've got it seconded. Any other discussion on any individual incidents for Mr. Dunn's docket? Okay, hearing none, let's move to a vote. All in favor of approving Mr. Dunn's March incidents for his May docket, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Dunn. On our agenda, we have Ms. Doyle, but she went first, so we are going to go to Dr. Karpos. You're up.
And so I'd like to inquire as to whether or not we could take up the last item before my docket, because my docket includes cases that are pertinent to whether we do or don't adopt the proposed policy.
We could, everybody else, their dockets already.
I don't mind doing my docket, but I sense that we're going to have more or less the same discussion.
It's up to you all. Right now, the agenda has the policy discussion coming next, but Dr. Karpos is requesting that policy discussion happen first.
I don't, can we, we have judged on.
It would be.
Policy and then.
Yeah, it would be my preference that everybody present their dockets based on the recommendations they've already made, because that's what everybody's reviewed, and changing it midstream would seem difficult.
I'm not changing my docket.
But even if we have a policy discussion and then we pass a policy, the question of does that impact what people have already reviewed and all that, we can, it's totally up to you all, but I would entertain, do you want to make a motion to?
Yeah, I make a motion that we move to the policy discussion to put the matrix in context,
Before
which
you
will be
present.
pertinent to me describing my document.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to move the next agenda item now, and then move the presentation of Dr. Karpos's docket after that discussion. Is there a second?
Second, because it's gonna save time.
Okay, seconded. Any discussion? Does everybody understand what the motion is?
What did you say, Mike?
I said I was thinking because it appears it's gonna save us time.
Gotcha.
Okay, seeing no discussion on it, we'll just move to a vote. We'll try a voice vote first. If that doesn't work, then we'll do a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Okay, it sounds like the motion passes.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
That's fine.
Aye. Okay. Let's pick up the policy discussion first, and then Dr. Carpus will present her docket after that. Does everybody online have a copy of the policy? It should be in the notebooks. I'm gonna put it up on the screen as well for anyone who doesn't have it on their copy of the agenda. I think the agenda may have been put on the website before the policy was added. So it's up on the screen for those who may not have it in the website agenda. Okay, well, this is a draft policy to clarify interpretation of the matrix, version 4 that we've been using generally since the beginning of this year. And what we can do is we can go through and we can make changes to the draft. Or if someone wants to make a motion to adopt the draft, that can be done as well. So I'm gonna open it up to the board to discuss the policy and either move forward as it is written, or to suggest changes and then vote on those changes.
I make a motion that we approve the draft.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded. Discussion.
So I have some concerns about the board adopting this policy. Certainly, I support the notion board should have policy that is clear for themselves, public at large, to understand the process through which we review these cases and determine what should be done with regard to sentence credits. My concern is that this matrix is being interpreted and utilized disconnected from the actual policy for which it is an attachment to. So TDOC policy 50202 states its purpose is to establish guidelines for the amount of sentence credits which may be taken, the term of punitive segregation, and the amount of time parole eligibility may be extended. And it goes on in procedures, which is section 6A, to make reference to the specific matrix that, if you're listening to us month after month we talk about the matrix, and the matrix is A, the attached chart set forth the guidelines for the maximum number of sentence credits which may be taken. And in B, guidelines for the maximum punishment may be exceeded in cases where the inmate was previously convicted of an equal or greater offense within the past 36 months. And the reason I wanted to take this up now is that I have folks on my docket who, in my estimation, fit criteria 6B. However, 6B is not spoken to in the policy that's being proposed for adoption. The TDOC policy, which creates this matrix, goes on to say in C, when an inmate is charged criminally for a violation of state or federal law that was committed while the inmate was incarcerated, the disciplinary board, and in this case, they're speaking about TDOC's disciplinary board, may exceed maximum punishment guidelines up to the removal of all earned sentence credits. It goes further to say that for the D boards within TDOC, the Assistant Commissioner of Prisons / designee must approve all disciplinary board decisions to remove all earned credits. And so my concern once again is that that portion of policy that is used as the procedure for utilization of this matrix is not spoken to in this policy.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Carpos. Any other discussion? Any other comments?
The 50202, the 36 months have been reduced back down to 24 on the new matrix.
And do you have the PCN date?
No, actually, TDOC doesn't publish those on the internet anymore. You have to get it off TDOC.
So do you have the PCN date?
No,
So when was the policy enacted?
that's TDOC.
Okay, you just
Probably
stated it
when we
as,
got the new matrix.
but
And,
how will we know this if we don't see the current policy?
well, that's why we meet with TDOC and if you, like, as far as doing the disciplinaries on the offense, the policy 10302 is the reference that you were going through on the approving the policies. It's the shift commander, and if there's an incident that involves an assault on staff members, it has to be investigated by the warden's office within 72 hours too. That's in the policy.
Okay, but I say again, I think it's problematic for the board
I think,
to create a
I think you're-
matrix that's buried in a policy that we don't even have the current version. How are we to interpret an attachment to a policy that we don't have a copy of?
Well, I think that's what the policy does, is it interprets the matrix.
I'm sorry,
This policy interprets the matrix.
but I mean, you've constructed the writing of the policy based on, of the IDOB policy, based on
No.
the
I
matrix,
constructed the policy
based on the matrix.
based on the matrix, but not on TDOC policy.
But the matrix is an attachment to TDOC policy. That's what I'm trying to
And
understand.
I understand that, but we haven't adopted TDOC policy. So when I was asked to put together this policy,
Mhm.
it was only off of what we've adopted, which is the matrix. So the matrix was the development for this policy. So if TDOC has attachments, or if TDOC had a process by which they applied the matrix, the intent of this policy was to create a mechanism for our board to interpret the matrix, not use TDOC's interpretation of the matrix. So TDOC could have their very different interpretation of the matrix. This is for us to interpret the matrix.
Okay, so
But
to
this
that
is the
point,
policy
on the
there.
last page of the policy, I'm so glad you said that. Because to that point, if everyone would turn to the last page, and it's page 5, not the last page, but it's numbered 5 of 7 because there's some attachment here. And look at I, section I. If the incident being reviewed is one of the following offenses: rape, sexual battery, indecent exposure, homicide, assault with serious injury, escape, then the board member will review that incident to determine whether the disciplinary board sentence reduction sanction falls between 18 and 24 months removal of PSRC time, regardless of the number of prior A's, Class B's, or C incidents received by the inmate over the preceding 18 months. So let me be sure I understand that. So even if there are other incidents, then If-
Even if there are other prior incidents?
prior incidents, that if someone commits a homicide, that this board is to remove no more than 18 to 24 months. Do I understand that? That's what it
That's
says,
what it
okay.
says.
And if anything more than that, let's read on. If the original board reduction sanction was less than 18 months, this board can adjust it. But if they removed more than 24 months, the board member shall issue a grant of sentence credits so that the number of sentence reduction credits removed for that incident is equal to 18 to 24. So if a TDOC board decides to remove something in excess of 24 months, when someone kills somebody, whether it's a staff member or an offender, we're going to credit back to 24 months anything that's in excess. So basically what we're saying is you can kill somebody in TDOC, an officer, an inmate, and this board isn't going to approve the withdrawal of anything more than 24 months of sentence credit.
Yes.
Am I reading this correctly?
Yes.
Well, I would say, I mean, that is.
We are not prosecuting the case.
I'm not trying to
Well,
prosecute
all
the
I'm
case.
saying,
And for one, they don't take, have you seen them take 36 months, the D board? I haven't seen one outside of 24. It's the farthest I've ever seen them take.
Well, and as I've said,
So
it
you said
numerous
that-
meetings,
you
I'm
said that
totally
could
shocked
happen.
that
I've not
24
seen it.
months is enough time to take from somebody who kills a staff member or an offender in one of these 14 prisons. I'm not comfortable with 24 months.
and that's understandable. So that's why, is there a change you'd like? I mean, that's what we're doing now. Like, what would you rather it say? So that we can discuss that, that.
I believe that it is appropriate that if someone kills a staff member or an offender, that all of their sentence credit should be withdrawn for the following reason. My understanding of this board's creation is because of the unfortunate murder of Eliza Fletcher. And that the board exists to ensure that people are not retaining sentence credits when they are doing crimes that are so heinous, and to me, homicide is heinous, that there is good probability to understand that they pose a threat to public safety, and that sentence credits are meant to be for good behavior. And when you kill somebody in a prison, that means you don't have good behavior. It doesn't stop them from any other pathway, whether the parole board or someone else wants to review them and release them. But the notion that they could be released with good credit, let us remember in the very recent, we have an offender, Drummond, who was released despite the fact that he had a conviction from the D board for an attempted murder. And he was released with benefit of sentence credits. He was released early and now stands under indictment for 4 homicides. So I'm totally uncomfortable with the notion that anyone who kills anybody in prison should be able to retain any of their sentence credits.
So would you be comfortable with a statement, an exception, reading something like board members are authorized to recommend PSRC removal of all sentence credits for homicide-related offenses?
Striking the sentence, striking the sentence that last sentence of I and changing it to that, is that what you're saying?
Well, I was gonna add,
Shall to may, and gives us the discretion.
okay,
There's one thing you're missing. The matrix, if there is a serious injury, which includes homicide, I think is a serious injury, that there can be 5 years extended on the EXP. That's by the warden or the associate warden. The D board can only go up to 24, but the warden can take another 5 years off the EXP, and it's quite common seeing that in the prisons when there is a egregious assault, the warden will extend that 5 more years. Second part of the matrix. And as far as taking all the time, if they're convicted of a crime, then the warden or director prisons can take all of the good time. That was part of the Mickey Gosher clause, that upon conviction, they can take all the good time.
Okay.
So the 5 years, if they're extending 5 years to 24 years, if you had a 20-year sentence, 30-year sentence, you still don't have enough good time that it's going to get you out early.
Okay.
But isn't it correct? Because let's make sure we're comparing apples to apples. That 5-year extension doesn't extend out period of time that the court order has as their finite end of sentence.
No,
What it does is it extends their RED, their release eligibility date, which is simply how soon or how delayed they are in getting before the parole board. So just so we're not giving anybody the impression that having that 5-year extension kind of sounds like they're going to stay in prison 5 years longer. That's not what extending the release eligibility date does. It just extends or delays. It can go to the parole board.
right. Well, actually, they took out sentence extension in the new policy, and it's a sentence EXP extension now. And if your EXP and your FXP are the same, if you've lost all your credit days, then you can't go.
And so, for me, losing all the sentence credits, I can't think of a more prime example of why and how you should lose all your sentence credits is if you commit a homicide.
So there was that sentence that I sort of offered, but then Mr. Dunn suggested maybe changing shall to may. Between, what would you prefer?
May I add, we could always change the shall to a may to cover any offense. And then add the exception line that you offered regarding homicides.
Okay.
And that could be a parachute for the board to act just in case the warden hasn't, just in case the commissioner hasn't, because we are oversight of their actions. So it gives us the opportunity. And I would hate to think that we would be questioned today if an offender got out early, when we had time and opportunity to take his early time away and he committed a horrible offense, made the meeting. The board's question, why didn't you take this time away? It was because we, in fact, came up with a policy limiting ourselves without giving us an exception in rare cases where this might come up. And our legislators that did come up with our board as an idea, I'm sure never thought that we would be limited by TDOC's policies, because if we added this up from the Secretary of State's website, there's created a full-time autonomous inmate disciplinary oversight board. The purpose of this board is to review, grant, deny, and remove inmate sentence credits by a warden for good institutional behavior, and determine whether sentence credits previously awarded should be removed for commission of a major infraction designated by the department as a Class A disciplinary offense for an inmate's refusal to participate in an assignment. The board has those powers and duties necessary and proper to enable to the board to fully and effectively carry out this part. It doesn't list any restriction for us. It mentions that. And I know we've been judging our decisions based on TDOC's actions. And a few of you have spent extra time with Commissioner and several of the branches of TDOC to see their thinking and the policy things like that. But I think the addition of your sentence to the policy, I appreciate you taking the time to write all this up, and changing the shall to a may still gives us the arm we need to for proper oversight while we continue clarity from the legislature in the future. If they do want us to take more than 24 on any case, please give us clarity and a green light to do so. But in the meantime,
That's for sure.
yes,
Yeah.
and that would cancel out any argument in any part some of us would have an uncomfortability doing. So we would have the ability to do so.
No, we were talking about homicide, and now you're saying any case.
No, I'm referring to the shall.
Explain to me exactly what we're talking about.
And maybe we want to make a motion to capture, all these
Sure.
changes, but he's saying two things. One, that we would, change this from, from a shall to a may. So if the original disciplinary board's sentence reduction sanction was more than 24 months, before it said the board member shall issue granted sentence credits, but it's not may issue granted sentence. Plus another sentence that talks about the homicide, the specific homicide related.
If you change the shall to a may, Brother Frank, it gives you the option, gives the board the discretion. It doesn't.
Are
lock
you
us in.
saying basically the matrix is gone?
No.
No.
So an assault, can an assault go to 36 months or 48 months if we determine it should?
The serious injury,
It
yes.
depends on the serious injury.
So we're going past 24 is what you're wanting to do. I thought,
No, that's not what he said.
No, so
Personally, for
Well,
me,
but that's not what Mr. Dunn said.
I'm
Yeah,
lost
that's
on
not
what
what
Dunn's
George said.
exactly wanting here.
Flexibility.
well, he's only saying that if the original disciplinary board issued more than 24 months, if the D board said it should go past 24 months.
They don't.
Okay, so that's the point.
So only if,
It
Like an
won't go past
assault.
24.
But you're saying the D board has to say it or this board can decide, Mr. Dunn?
so like,
Which are you saying?
The way he's written it, it forces us to reinstitute credits when it's gone past 24 months.
For that bottom.
It forces us to.
Yeah.
But if you change the shall to a may, we have the option to restore credits. Instead of,
that the original D
Which would
board,
be rare,
isn't the,
which would be rare.
Which would be rare.
well, I've never seen it, but.
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you won't.
Yeah,
You know,
there's a good chance.
But instead of forcing.
So
us
it's,
to-
okay.
But it
I'm-
doesn't
Yeah.
change, or what you're proposing would not affect, limiting homicide to 24
Correct.
months or would?
Absolutely, I would
That would-
always
that's
be
a
in
separate-
favor.
That would be a separate one. That would be, it would be, yeah, it would be separate, but included in the motion.
I will always be in favor of taking
Yes.
every single second available from an offender who
Sure.
commits a homicide.
Absolutely.
They don't deserve any happy face stickers for killing somebody.
Or you,
But changing the shall to a may doesn't force us to give credit back when the D.
If the D
Yes.
board.
What the D
And I
board-
would never vote to give it.
I wouldn't give it back.
Exactly.
I would-
Exactly.
That's why it's
That-
not.
that they haven't done.
Why wouldn't you?
All right. Is that,
I'm okay with it.
yeah, I've never seen it, but if I saw it, then I've
If it
got
comes
no
up.
problem. They've made that determination.
Yes.
Somebody at the higher
But
level.
that, this way, if we change it to May, we don't have
We
to
don't have
give
to.
anything back.
That's right. That's
Okay,
We would,
That's right.
can't imagine.
we wouldn't anyway, I wouldn't.
That's
I
right.
can't imagine.
If it's,
But
okay.
You have seen where the warden has extended the EXP date. You've seen that in your sentences.
I was thinking, it was talking like we could go, we can.
No,
do-
so that's the first part here that limits that.
Okay.
so
think
what if
that's
any
fine.
changes to the
With-
first part
with
you're
the-
proposing?
With those changes, I would make a motion of adoption of this policy, changing the shall to a may, and including, if you read us that sentence
Yes.
one more time.
Yes, the
Finish
board
this
members are
motion.
authorized to to recommend removal of all, sentence credits, for homicide-related offenses.
Seconded.
And I would, and for discussion, I aim to seek legislation that would prevent an offender convicted of such a charge from ever receiving their credit ever again while they're incarcerated. It
Absolutely.
prohibits them.
Absolutely.
And that's why.
Yeah, and we will for
Just
sure
wanna
this
get it
summer.
on with.
And the other thing I just want to mention just real quickly,
Mr. Stahl, may I ask a question before we move on from this?
oh, yeah, we work in Vermont, Betsy, but yeah, please.
I mean, just on this particular issue. Are
Yes.
we not bearing in mind what our legal counsel's advice was on this?
Actually, General Counsel had to step out. He sent me a text saying that, his son was having, emergency dental work done. I think we did have a discussion with him previously in a number of executive sessions, where he relayed his thoughts on,
Exceeding the matrix?
yes, and the matrix and all that. Again, I mean, as you know, legal advice is advice. So if, it's up to the individual board member to decide if their recommendations are aligned with, what our legal counsel has previously told us or not. I don't want to say too much about, you know, what he said and, you know, whether this is right or wrong or along those lines or whatever. But I would just say that, you know, I think we've all heard from him and we should continue to take that into consideration as we make changes and adopt policies.
Did he help advise?
Wait, please.
Okay.
How do we drive what he advised us with what we are proposing right now? That's my question.
So this proposal was drafted after our second executive session by me, based on what the board after that session said that they would like to present to others for consideration. So he's looked at it and Steve.
No,
Mr.
I
Brown.
know. I mean, I remember what he's told us about it.
So yeah,
So
I mean,
I'm asking Mr. Dunn or Mr. Sharon or Mrs. Carpos, like, how do we drive what he advised us with what you guys are proposing to change the policy to?
Well, in my memory, he did not address the sentence that I'm proposing to change the shall to a may.
He addressed exceeding the matrix, the
Now,
TDOC matrix, and the
okay.
due process issues that raises.
Ms. Wiseman, I'll try to explain this as simple as I can. He
Okay,
did not
please do.
address.
I'm stupid.
No, you're not. He did not address forcing the board to return credits when a D-board sentence has exceeded 24 months. This is the sentence
here, I'm gonna highlight it on the screen that we're talking about.
I'll read this, Ms. Betsy, please pay attention to this. I'll read this out loud so you'll focus on what I was paying attention to. If the original disciplinary board's PSRC sentence reduction sanction was more than 24 months, the board member shall issue a grant of sentence credits so that the number of sentence reduction credits removed for that incident equals 18 to 24 months. That's forcing us to go against a D board's decision if they decided to take more than 24 months. I'm proposing we change the shall issue a grant to may issue a grant. It gives us the discretion to go along with the D board's decision where they exceeded 24 months, or we can return credits if we so vote to do so.
Thank you. I do understand that, but I appreciate your explaining it to me in a simple fashion. My concern is if we don't give the time back when they exceed it, we are exceeding the matrix, which we've had numerous discussions about this and the potential issues from a due process standpoint.
Well, again, that's not our decision. That was the D board's decision to exceed their original 24-month sanction.
Okay. But this is our policy. This is our policy that we're discussing.
But I've never seen it, so I mean, I've wanted, yeah.
So I think it's a fair point. So let's ask ourselves this: do we want to take up both changes? Because we really have two changes: the shall to the may and the homicide exception. Or do we want to take up these possible changes individually? How would you all like to? What's the proposal?
I would say both of them at once because, and here's the thing, changing a shall to a may, if we see something egregious that needs correcting, we're going to correct it. But if we see something, yeah, I agree. I understand why they went past the 24 months and they're still within their policy to do so, even though it's not listed on the sanction guideline. And we're not going to interfere with their decision because they articulated such, and we understand why. It doesn't force us to go against their judgment on the issue, but it gives us the opportunity to look at it still and to make a decision if we see so and feel the need to do so. It's changing a shall to a may.
Okay.
Okay, and my question remains the same. Do you not agree that this is in direct controversy with what our attorney advised us?
No, I don't think it's.
And does
at all.
anyone on the board understand my point? Or am I just out
Yes.
here in
Yeah.
legal la la land?
I think it's a good point, Ms. Wiseman. I do. You know, it just goes to the consideration of the guidelines and you know how we interpret them and how how strict we want to be in applying them and all that. But you're right, this is our policy. This is our policy. So it should reflect our interpretation and wishes.
And not violate people's constitutional rights. We're not the ones conducting the hearings. If we
You don't have a
take away more
constitutional
time,
right to a daggone sentencing credit.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Representative Halsey, did you have a comment?
I'm just blabbing to myself. Don't pay attention to me. I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
Okay, okay. Okay, well, why don't we do this? Do you want to present a motion with both or one? Take the changes one at a time, or would you like to offer a motion?
Can I ask one quick clarification?
Yeah.
Mike, what you're discussing is basically the matrix shows the D board can only go to 24 with serious injury. We're not including if the warden does a 2-year or 5-year. We're not looking at that as an extension of the D board.
I don't think so.
To me, it's
No, sir.
not.
That's not.
It would be if
Yeah.
they went over 24.
Sure.
The 2 and the 5 is discretion of
Right.
the warden.
Yes. And they're still within their policy to do so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Whatever the policy.
So this is like,
Yeah.
which
Wait,
the,
I'm not saying that. So-
which the commissioners designate will, if they took 36 months, they would catch that and drop that to 24. I would almost, Gary. It's almost
But if
like,
they
are
don't-
we putting in a policy that is,
We don't
I have
force
never
the board
seen
members
this
to change
happen.
it.
Has anybody,
I've
you
never
said
seen
you've
Barry
seen
see it.
30, I've not
seen
seen
it
that.
once.
I've
So,
not
yeah,
ever
we're-
seen one.
It's 1,000 cases.
It's gonna be very rare.
Yes.
But
Very rare.
to your
Do you
point,
need the last sentence at all?
I don't, however you want to present it.
Can you
Mike?
just strike it?
Brother Sharon,
Well, I mean, it's not in the policy yet. We can just,
Brother Sharon's point.
I mean, that's what we kind of talked about. What you talked about, we just strike that last sentence.
yeah, we can take it out.
I don't
That
know.
would be an option.
I don't know. That's an idea. I don't know what the right answer is.
But-
But I think we're talking about something that happens 1 out of 1,000,000 case or
Sure.
10,000 cases. And what, to Dr. Carpus's point, I wouldn't want to force Mr. Carr to have to return time to somebody. If the D board did the right thing, and, you know,
And again, in defense of my crafting of this, it was designed originally to make everything as clear as possible. But if by doing that, we're making things more muddy, more
You're
unclear,
right.
by all means, let's take it out. It doesn't have to be in there. So, however, I mean, however we want to do it, I'm open. I think we do have a motion right now to adopt the policy. So do we want to amend that motion to do something, to change the shall, to add the sentence, to remove the last sentence? In the interest of moving forward, what do we?
Is the motion to adopt the whole policy?
So right now, that was the motion, to adopt the whole policy without these changes. So if we want to amend the motion to adopt
strike that
changes,
sentence.
then we could do that. But we need an
It's up to the
amendment.
person that made that motion.
Yeah, I think, was it,
Sure.
Ms. Sharon? I think that was you.
So moved. Yes.
Well, what do we move
Again, that
into?
we strike that sentence if everyone's in agreement. Okay.
Okay,
Just for clarity, so we're not.
what about,
forcing folks.
what about the sentence that's in red that about the authorization to recommend PSRC removal of all sentence credits for homicide offense? So we're striking that as well. Because that was discussed. Yes?
So, no, I don't want to see that strike.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I
So,
would have a little bigger.
yes.
We run that by our general counsel.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, then we won't,
I don't know, I mean,
we won't.
because I think we all agree we don't have a problem with someone commits homicide, losing all their credits, but can we do that?
And if you have cases today that deal directly with homicide, we can roll that.
Correct. I have the officer who was killed at Morgan. I have that case.
Okay.
And so I think it's not on my docket because there are actually 2 suspects on that incident and neither of them have had their disciplinary hearing, which is why at the last public meeting, I asked general counsel about if we're concerned about due process, why aren't these hearings happening with regard to this homicide? Because we're at the latter part of May, and this homicide happened in February. And this disciplinary has not been heard for either of the suspects. But when it is heard, it's my disciplinary, and I'm uncomfortable
Sure.
and would feel immoral to propose anything less than the removal of all sentence credits. And whether it's in current TDOC policy or former TDOC policy, the fact that they had that as an option, recognizing that there are some things that are worthy of the removal of all sentence credits. I would hate to think that they've altered their policy in a way that would be anything less than that, but until we actually receive a copy of whatever their current policy is, we don't know.
Well, to your point, they haven't held the hearing yet, so we can hope that they will take away all of their good sentence credits, right? When we
Well, I
review
don't
them.
know what their current policy, I mean, we've heard oral discussion that something has been seen that says that now they can't even take the 36 months away. Previously, if you had committed an equal or greater offense in the last 36 months, you could take even more time away. But
Sure.
according to Chairman Bassbinder, that portion of policy has now been altered. So I think we really need to see a current copy of 50202. But to Mr. Stahl's point, I agree, Mr. Stahl, this is our
It's our
policy.
policy, yeah.
We can write whatever we want, and to that end, I would want, for me, I would want us to be in a position to take more than 24 months for homicides, for rapes, and for times when staff members have been seriously injured.
Now we're moving more. See, that's the slippery slope. It started homicide,
May I
then it's
finish?
this, and this.
May I
And
finish?
you've got a case for 48 months, which is totally outside the main.
Well, we're not to the cases
We're
yet.
gonna get there, but if I could finish, it's only a few months ago, we had a pregnant officer who was stabbed and in the hospital for over a week. And for me, while that's not a homicide, thank God, I would be reluctant to say 24 months of, I would be reluctant to say 24 months is enough, and I would be reluctant to say allowing anyone to retain sentence credits after carrying out that vicious type of attack would not be comfortable for me personally.
Okay, we need to get back to the motion here.
Yeah, well,
And I just
I
want,
think without our general counsel, I think maybe we take that last sentence off too. We strike that and then we revisit, because you're not bringing any homicides up today, right? We revisit.
Well,
them
but
with
we're
our
gonna
general
come to my
counsel.
docket in a moment, and we're gonna talk about why I asked for 48 months.
Sure,
And
But-
why on another one I asked for 36 months.
okay, but
But you can always roll my docket if that's what you would choose to
I'm
do.
not saying that, I'm just saying, I think we need to move forward.
So what do you all think about if we strike that and we take that last sentence off until we can talk to Stephen next week or the week after before our next meeting to get some clarification on what we can do?
So how about we don't vote on the policy? Is that what you're saying?
well, that's what,
Is that
is
it?
that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, I can, we're discussing, what do you?
But, and the only thing I want to highlight, again, going back to what you mentioned, Dr. Carpos, from my perspective, is what I like about us having a policy is we can change it at any time. When we're always asking for TDOC for their thoughts or what's their policy or waiting up, it's fine if that's the way we want to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also like the idea of us being flexible because we've adopted a policy. And at any time, we can change it. Come next meeting, change it to something else.
I
So,
don't think this motion was to adopt the policy, but with these changes here, and then now you say.
well, is that,
Yes.
have we amended it? So with the changes we see on the screen,
Striking the last sentence.
everything that's struck.
Yeah,
Okay, so the new motion is to adopt the policy as reflected on the screen.
And change the shall to may.
No, we're striking that.
No, we're striking all
No,
that.
he wants all that struck, so that we don't speak to those issues and we're still limited to just the 24 months.
Well, so we're not returning
Right, but we're
sentence
also
credits
limited
to
this.
folks that were given more time by the D boards. That's
Yeah, that's
true.
true. We don't want to do that.
Right.
Okay. So that's the motion. The motion is to adopt the policy as reflected on the screen, which would eliminate everything that's crossed out. I don't think there's been any other changes to the policy, so those aren't on the screen. But to also engage with general
Yes.
counsel
Yes.
on the sentences that are getting struck out to see if we need to reintroduce them at a later time.
Right.
Okay.
By adopting this, we're saying that if you, just as it reads right now, if you commit a homicide in prison, we are going to let you retain any sentence credits you possess in excess of 24 months. Because that's what that means. That's what the application of that means, not to exceed 24 months. So if I have 36 months and I kill one or more people, you're not gonna take more from me than 24 months. That's what that says.
That's what.
Okay, Ms. Wiseman, I'm sorry, Lee, Ms. Wiseman had her hand up.
Well, in reply to Ms. Carpus, what I would say is we all agree that they shouldn't earn an hour of extra credit if they're committing violent crimes in prison, but it's left up to the legislature. It's not, we don't have the authority to do that. In my opinion, as a licensed attorney and based on my years of practice in criminal court, I don't think we have the legal authority to do that. Now, we all agree it should be, so should we lobby the legislature to have that
Yes.
changed to where we do have the authority, or should it be by statute that they can't earn credit when they're committing crimes in prison? Of course. I don't think any of us feel differently, but I don't think it's, as Lee said, our job. We are not prosecutors. We are overseers of their credit and the removal of that.
Well, and to your point, and I certainly respect the experience and the credentials that you bring to this. And I'm very respectful that we have different opinions on what the statute itself authorizes. And I think if I could summarize, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if the statute doesn't say we can, then we assume we can't. Versus if the statute doesn't say we can't, then we can. And so my position is the statute doesn't say that we can't take all of their sentence credit. And I understand your point is the statute doesn't say that we can take all their sentence credit. Is that fair to say that's kind of where we are?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last bit?
Okay, so my position is the statute doesn't say, the statute that created us doesn't say that we can't remove all their sentence credits. But on the other hand, from your perspective, the statute doesn't say we can remove all their sentence credits. Is that a fair way to summarize what our differences are in how we look at this?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. So, and I'm respectful of that, and I think both perspectives have value. For me, no, I don't think the statute forbids me from taking all their sentence credits. And that's what I'm comfortable with doing, but I recognize this is up to the board to make the decisions.
I would like to make one quick point, and this is that we used to talk about and it's not been talked about, is once you start taking 48 months for an assault that is not a serious injury at all, or 36 or 147, whatever we want to take, without giving the inmate a new hearing, then we're piggybacking off their hearing to try to put in our own matrix. And I've always contended if we're going to do our own matrix, we have to give the inmate his due process in front of us. And I believe that's what I believe. And from the attorneys I've talked to, that's what they believe. And so we've kind of forgotten that. We're talking about 48 or 36. Is it, if we're not keeping TDOC's feet to the fire on what they're doing, then we're doing our own thing. And at that point, due process gives the inmate, he needs to be able to speak it. We need to have teleconference and let him come in front of us if we want to take more time than what they're doing. That's what I believe. And you don't think so, but I do.
No, it's not that I don't think that. I want to make a distinction here. We're talking about my docket and what I write on my docket. And this policy is telling me as a member that I can't write anything in excess of 24 on my docket. Just because Mary Karpos writes something on her docket doesn't mean that the board has to approve that. So no one's asking you to violate whatever your understanding is or whatever your beliefs are about TDOC and the matrix and whether it is or is not a fair reaction to the incident. I do find it difficult that I'm being told what I can and cannot write on the docket when I'm seeing something that in my mind is extraordinary. For the most part, if you look at my docket, there's only 2 that go beyond the 24, 2 out of 51. But if this policy as written were to go forward, it would forbid me from putting anything larger than 24 on my docket, knowing full well that just because Mary Karpos puts 24 on the docket doesn't mean that more than 24 will be taken. It just means that board members have to take a vote, as they do on all dockets, to whether they agree or don't agree.
Well, I just want to point out, it's not you, I mean, it's everybody can't.
Right.
It's a universal restriction.
Well, yeah, I
Based on what
understand.
our attorney has told us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to make it seem like, like there's, everyone's saying you
No,
can't. It's-
anyone,
Anyone
yes,
can.
anyone. It just so happens today it's my docket.
Sure. But, and the other thing I would mention, for codification purposes is we have a section in the docket for comments. By all means, write whatever comments. I think the policy goes more toward recommendations, what recommendations can be made. But certainly, I never want board members to feel like, they can't write something in, comments or make, their things clear on their docket. By all means, make your docket your own. But for sure, the policy would limit the ability to make recommendations beyond 24 hours, for sure.
Brother Dale, we need a point.
Well, I was gonna say if we could adopt this, leave that, strike that off Bobby, go to our council, get him to, the question Mary had was, it doesn't say we can't, so can we, or it doesn't say we can't we, get
Policy,
yeah, the policy, look at that. And then I think the very first thing we need to do is draft legislation. Let us know.
Well, we've already started that
Yeah,
process.
and do that.
Yeah.
And
I commend the board
Clear.
again for taking the time to look at those drafts, because that's, like I mentioned earlier, that's something that's gonna be a priority this year, along with the jail, county, TCI work. Legislative changes is a priority for us moving into the
Now,
summer.
to get back to the question, Mary says if we vote on this, it limits her from putting down 48. I might want to put down more than 24, knowing that y'all are going to say, no, it's going to be 24, but I'm just letting you know this is what I think. Does that hurt anything?
I don't think it ever, I don't think this policy restricts the ability to express thoughts.
Yeah.
But it does restrict the ability to make recommendations.
In the policy though, if we go over the 24, I think it says that we have to check to make sure that they even have the credit to be taken.
So that's not in there.
That's not in there?
That's not in, if we wanted to make that change, we could, but that is not in there. So, really, really good discussion. The motion still stands, and Mr. Sheeran, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the motion on the table is to adopt the draft that's in the notebooks, that was sent out to everybody with the changes that you can see on the screen, subsection I, removing the last sentence in total and not including an exception for homicide offenses. Is that a correct capture of the
Yes.
motion? Okay. I think we've heard from most, if not everyone. We've had some really good discussions, so I think it might be best to just do a roll call and see where we land. All in favor of the motion, Chairman Bassfinder? Mr. Frank?
Aye.
Mr. Sheeran? Mr. Dunn?
Aye.
Mr. Carr?
Aye.
Dr. Carpos?
No.
Ms. Wiseman?
Aye.
And Mr. Lindsay? Okay, Ms. Doyle texted me she had to leave. She's having an emergency medical situation with her mom, so she's not voting. But the motion passes. Thank you, everybody. I think it's a good starting point for the policy. I anticipate we'll put something on the calendar to have some further discussions with our general counsel. We'll continue to redraft this. We'll make it better. We'll make it more concise. We'll continue all of that. But I think it's a really, really good starting point for us. Okay, so that I think handles that agenda item, and we have one more docket to go through. Dr. Carpos,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
So I am bringing forward my February incidents. I had a total of 200 incidents to review, and of those, I placed 51 on my docket, 50 for the purpose of withdrawing additional credit, and 1 for the purpose of restoring credit, although it's a very unusual restoration that we as a group have talked about previously. So it's my understanding that this will be handled a little bit different.
That's right. Yes.
With regard to that.
And thank you for talking us through that, because it does help with the paperwork, just to make sure it's right.
And I don't see any need for us to necessarily discuss that one.
Okay,
at this
thank you.
point.
Yeah.
I am requesting an additional 335 months and 29 days. And I say the 29 days because I had an unusual case at South Central where they only took 1 day of sentence credit. And Mr. Lindsay, I think you also have that as well. I tried to give you a call, but we'll talk a little bit later. You may have a 1 day one as well. So I offer my docket and would ask for the approval of my docket.
Motion approved.
Okay, any questions on Dr. Carpus's doc?
I've got a question. On the case number, it'd be your number 18 Northeast, case number 170-7866. It was an AOW with an injury level of 2, and you're asking 48 months. Why 48 months?
Okay, so this particular incident was captured on video, and it involves 2 inmates attacking 2 other inmates. And so one inmate was wielding a sock with some sort of heavy items in it. That with the first blow alone was able to take the first victim to the floor. And then the second inmate, the one that I'm asking for the 48 months as the assailant, came up and stabbed the one who had been knocked to the floor, as well as stabbing a second victim. So the reason I'm asking for 48 months, and this would accrue to 24 months for each of the 2 victims that were stabbed by this particular offender. So that's the rationale, that there were 2 victims. I would hate to think that in an incident that it didn't matter how many people you ended up stabbing, that we were capped at 24. And because I'm afraid that would incentivize people to take out as many people as they possibly can, because they're only going to have 24 months taken away from them anyway.
Is the 48 used to make sure that he stays in the Department of Corrections longer?
I'm sorry.
The reason for the 48 though, is that to make sure that he would be incarcerated longer, that his
No,
EXP date be longer?
No, that's not my reasoning at all. My reasoning is, and what we just had in terms of a discussion was that the department's own matrix, and the matrix that this board has adopted, says for serious injuries, assaults with serious injuries, that 18 to 24 months is suitable. And so applying that to this situation, and I do feel that both of the victims were seriously injured with these stabbings, that 24 months is appropriate for each of the victims stabbed.
But this one was written up as a 2 minor injury, and it was a sock with something heavy in it. So
That wasn't what he was stabbed with. One of them was wielding a sock with something heavy, and he knocked the first one down. And at the same time, the one with the knife was knifing the first victim. And then when the other one was on the ground from taking the beating with the sock, he went over and stabbed the one on the ground who took the beating from the sock. So he ended up stabbing two victims.
I understand that, but what I'm looking at still is obviously the victims testified in the disciplinary hearing, and they were not treated at outside hospital, but the first offender, they took 17 months from him, which is an oddball number, but the guy's doing 92 years of life sentence, so it wouldn't matter if it was 17 months, 170 or 1,700. The second one is doing 16 years on a 100% sentence, which they took 18, which is the max of the matrix. And he's not going to get out of prison any longer. So why the time? What is it doing? It's not making an incentive that they're going to stay in prison longer. They're there.
So, and you know, I really respect the fact that we have had this conversation several times over the last couple of years. And so I was actually surprised when the new policy was proposed that it didn't include this particular point that is often made. Is the board here to recommend amount of time of sentence credits to be withdrawn irrespective of how much they have? Or does this board want to adopt a policy where we check and see what they have and then decide what we take? But up to this point, we've said we're going to do it on the basis of what the matrix says. And the matrix is silent on the notion of checking how much they have.
Right, which I'm just an old sheriff from running a county jail, but by what the statute says, if I interpret the law that the legislature put on us, it is our duty to examine each case completely. When I go through my cases, I look and see what they're charged with. I look and see what the disciplinary board took away from them. I want to make sure that they're incarcerated. I'll let anybody look at my cases. Nobody is going to get out early on my watch. But I also see if the disciplinary board took what is in the matrix, they're looking at all the standards. If they took 18 months, for instance, that's the top of the matrix. They know that this person is not going to get out early. So you've got a disciplinary sergeant that says we're taking 18 months. I look at from running the jail and knowing what happens at the D board and what officers tell inmates. When that inmate gets the letter that says this board in Nashville bumped it up, then he's not mad at us. He's mad at that D board sergeant, and the aggression goes out onto the correctional officer. I think we're putting correctional officers in harm's way because that is one of the things that DHOs have expressed to Mr. Sharon and I during our visits at the correctional facilities is that we're doing our job right. Please back us. That's our word is all we've got to protect us. Basically, they got a pencil in their word. Is all they got is in protection. So I feel like our board, we're supposed to be looking at every detail. We should know if they're flattening their sentence out, if it's 100% sentence. That's the whole idea of truth in sentencing that the legislature met. And with this new matrix, like I said in one of our telephone meetings, I pulled 25 random cases, and out of 25 cases, 24 of them had no time to take. Just one had time to take, and it was taken. So it's just Maybe I'm wrong, but I just looked at it that that's our duty and that's what the legislature wanted us to do, is to do a deep dive into this. It's our full-time job. That's what we're here for.
If you recall last year, when we were having this discussion, one of the things I suggested is if we ever do employ either a part-time or a full-time technology person, is that when these incidents are drawn, one, they can draw the incidents, and two, they can include in the spreadsheet how much credit time each of these individuals have. But we haven't moved forward on that. So I hear your proposal would be, and perhaps that's something you want to propose to be included in the policy, that board members be required to look and see, but then we do have to discuss. So somebody has no time, they have no credits, and they're before us for a homicide or maybe not a homicide. So then when we see the board taking 0 at the prison, we just affirm their 0?
No,
Well, that's a larger
If they don't
issue.
have any
They're
time,
in the matrix.
but if they don't have any time,
But
and
you will
that's to the
still have
point.
to follow the matrix.
they follow the matrix, whether they're doing a life sentence, 100% sentence.
Right. Yeah,
If
so-
they're on death row, they still follow the matrix because you never know what's going to change on the law.
Yes.
And as far as checking their sentence credits, it's one click away from when we look at our offender page. You click offender summary, one click on Thomas, and we can look at all the credits. That's our job.
But
We're
how's that
forensic
standard
investigators.
then? If two guys do exactly the same thing and we're applying the same matrix, but this guy doesn't have the same amount of time as this guy ends up having more time taken because he has sentence credits and this guy doesn't because he doesn't?
No, the sentence credits are uniform. That's a
Well, no, you
uniform
said
matrix.
this guy didn't have any time left or he only had the 17
But
months
you would
left.
still take what's in the matrix. It
Right.
wouldn't matter if he had 0 or not, because there's so many sentences in here that don't get credit anyway. Sex offenders, even if they're sentenced 10 years at 30%, mandatorily have to do a 70% sentence. So if we take time from them, they're going 100% out. But we're still taking time, but our time goes by the matrix. It's not grabbed out of the air.
So do you have a
And so
preference
that's
for
why
that
it's
incident instead of 48? Do you?
To me, I feel like the disciplinary board, the 17 and the 18 was proper. If Dr. Campos wants to drop it to 224s, it's not gonna affect it, but I don't have a problem with it because it did stay inside the matrix. So 48 is nowhere in the matrix, and technically, it's.
We just,
It's 24 for each of the victims. And
Well,
we just voted to put in a policy, and we're not using that policy, that this is, this is immaterial.
So
If
are
we
you
just
telling-
put in the policy and you're wanting to go to 40, it seems like it would be nice if you said, well, I'm gonna bring those back down to 24 and the 36 back down to 24.
Well, I don't know that would be nice.
well, it's a fair question. We just, that was my worry about having that discussion earlier than now. Now that we have the policy, are we applying it to these incidents?
I would ask
Well, if you're
you if
applying
you would
it to
drop it
these
down to
incidents,
24.
okay, I'm going to ask this question again. And I'll only ask it once, whatever you all decide, you decide. So the policy says, and in this case, it's me, I can't have any number on my docket bigger than 24. And so I need to change my one case that I gave 48 to, and my one case involving assaulting an officer, I gave 36 months to. I have to change my docket to 24.
That would be, if when you created this docket, the policy that we just put into effect would require
Would negate
those
that.
changes, yeah.
Would require
But
that
this
change.
docket was put together before that, so, it's.
But we
Well-
also discussed the policy just for
But
this
I
purpose.
there's an argument for that as well, so.
Okay. So, given that understanding, in compliance with the policy that was passed by the majority of board members. All of my cases that exceed 24 months should be adjusted to 24 months. Not because I think that that's a fair and suitable withdrawal of credits, but because that's compliance to the policy that was passed.
Okay.
I made a motion, I amend my motion to approve what she just said and seeking a second. And would pray that in the future, the TDOC would correctly write up incidents based on the victim status.
Number of victims.
So it's a good point, very good point. Okay. Was that seconded? Okay. Having made those changes, any discussion?
Question on motion.
Okay, so the motion is to adopt the docket with the changes, and I'm counting 2 incidents that now will reflect 24 instead of 48, 36, responding. That, everybody understand? That's the motion, okay? All in favor of passing that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you, everyone for that. Okay, great. Just a few more things here. The next agenda item is to allow for public comment. I see we have 2 members of the public with us today. One, we all know who that is. He participated a little bit earlier. Representative Posey, any public comment?
Yes, sir. Thank you for allowing me to sit in and listen today. I appreciate that. I have I'll be very brief. I have 2 requests for you. And it deals with a lot of what you were discussing. You have 14 institutions and they do things differently. And I would ask for, you do understand that the reason that I'm passionate about this is this was my bill. We started off with is a real interest in the board, and at the same time, we know that public safety is the biggest deal and the biggest overrider of what we do. And the assumption is if you have people who commit violent crime in an institution, they'll continue to commit it when they get out. And this year, according to the abstract that TDOC put out, and it's been discussed in several committee meetings, including ones I've been in with finance, and it's been discussed in others as well, that the violent numbers are higher than they have ever been historically. The deaths now average, I think, 1 every, 3.5 days in institutions. The suicide rate's higher than it's ever been. The assisted suicide rate's higher than it's ever been. The assault on inmates is higher than it's ever been. The rapes are higher than they've ever been. And the assaults on staff is higher than it's ever been. So what I'm asking for is a deep dive to do an analysis just on violent behavior in prisons that can be expected to be reproduced in the community over if the offender is released. And when I say an analysis, it would be an analysis of the 14 prison disciplinary boards. Now, this is for their D boards and how they arrive at the conclusions that how their sentence crediting decisions are made for violent offenses. This doesn't include cell phones and drugs or anything like that. This just deals with violence. And my second request is that Dr. Mary Karpos be the person who carries this out. And if she doesn't throw rocks at me and decline. But the reason I asked for her is because of her history and her credentials and her experience. She knows more about Comus and did this for years. So that's my request, and to have it submitted by October, and I will follow this up with a letter to each of you stating that with the signatures of other chairmen on other committees that are interested in this as well.
So, Representative Halsey, are you asking for the board to do something, or are you asking for, Dr. Karpos to do something?
I'm asking for the board to approve Dr. Karpos to do something.
Okay, well, then we need a motion, I assume.
I'd make the motion to comply with his request.
Okay, is there a second?
Say,
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes.
So, but, excuse me, Representative Halsey, you're going to get letters so I understood you to say that you got other chairmen that will be signing this letter that want all this information too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So it must be coming to go off. Probably so, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any other comments, Representative Halsey?
No, sir. You had a long day, so I'll leave you alone.
Okay, okay. We do have one more member of the public. It says Lynn on the screen. Not sure if that's a first name or a last name. Any comment, ma'am or sir? Okay, seeing none, we will move on from public comment to our last agenda item, which is closing notes. First order of business, June's public meeting. Right now, it is set for the 17th. Is that a good date for everybody? Okay, so the 17th will be our next public meeting. Couple of quick things, Memorial Day weekend, be safe. Enjoy it with the families. The schools are out. Congratulations to all the parents who got through another school year. We have one birthday to celebrate, early birthday tomorrow, Mr. Lindsay. Happy birthday to you, sir. And as always, thoughts and prayers for board members and their families. Everyone's going through some things, and our general counsel as well with his son. Our thoughts and prayers there. Other than that, I don't have anything. I'll turn it back over to the chairman for adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
No,